Heartbeat Alaska would like to thank the following sponsors for making our show possible. Brown's Electric. Thank you, Brown's Electric, for your generous support. Heartbeat Alaska is also brought to you by Frontier Flying Service. Thank you, Frontier, for getting Heartbeat Alaska airborne. Heartbeat Alaska would like to thank Cognac Incorporated. Without their support, this show would not be possible.
Heartbeat Alaska is also brought to you by Comtech Business Systems Incorporated.
1, 2, 3, 4, let's go.
It's Heartbeat.
It's a fabulous show.
Alaska.
Hi, Heartbeat Alaska.
It's Heartbeat. Alaska.
Pull up a chair and enjoy the show.
Hear it from Sitka to Barrow. Gather around for Jeannie's show. It's the Alutiiq, the Indian and the Eskimo. It's the Alutiiq, the Indian and the Eskimo.
Welcome one, welcome all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Heartbeat Alaska Native News and Information. I'm Jeannie Green. Thank you so much for joining us. On Heartbeat Alaska, we love to travel to remote villages across the state, and we revisit this week Akhiok, Alaska, a village we'd never visited before. This time, we're learning all about the Alutiiq culture with Alutiiq Culture Week.
I born in Kuguyak after 64 earthquake, so our home got washed away and we couldn't go back where we was, so they transferred us in here from Anchorage. So, years since 64.
Located on the southern tip of Kodiak Island, nestled inside Alutiiq Bay, sits the Alutiiq village of Akhiok. It's a small community that has survived through a subsistence lifestyle that has been continually passed down over the centuries. If you've never seen one of these before, you might ask what you're looking at.
The inside of a sea urchin. And all you eat is the eggs, the roe of the urchin.
Can you explain what it really tastes like? What do you think?
It's nothing compared to what you taste anywhere in American food. People always ask what it tastes like before they try it. And you can't really explain it unless you try it. It has its own taste. It's salty and sweet at the same time. Creamy and...
Each one of them have like their own particular taste. Some of them taste different.
Yeah,
some taste like food. Some are saltier than others. You can tell. Some of them get
sweet. Some are different texture. Some are firm. Some are mushy.
We usually get them before the full moon because they get empty after the full moon.
On the full moon, they release their eggs.
Oh no!
This is called a badarki. In our language, it's called ojida. And you get these in a low tide, and they're stuck to a rock like this. And then to get them out, you pry them out like this. And you can eat them just off the rock, but they're kind of hard, so you have to kind of fight it a little bit. And you can eat it just like this. And there's rowan there too, but I don't see very much of it in there. There isn't any rowan here. And you can eat the roe too.
These sea-dwelling creatures are just a sample of the different types of foods that have sustained the people of Akhiok for centuries. In some ways, these people are submerged in their culture every day. But for 1 week a year for the past 13 years, the community has held their annual Alutiiq Week, a week of learning the ways of their ancestors, tied in with the academics of a modern-day education.
We usually have something that's to do with our culture. We've been doing the Alutiiq Week now for 13 years, and this year the Alutiiq Committee decided that they wanted to work on regalia this year in making masks, making headdresses, bentwood hats. Regalia is the dress that they wear.
And that's just what they did. With the guidance of family and friends, the youth of Akhiok got hands-on training in the crafts of their ancestors. Teacon Simeonoff, who was raised in Akhiok, returned home to teach his peers how to make bentwood hats.
The longer the hat, the more shade you'll have from the glare, the water, as you're kayaking. And the more shade you have, you can see the animal better.
These hats are traditional hunting hats that have been used for centuries. It takes great patience and an understanding of the wood being used to make a bentwood hat. From the thickness of the material to the grain of the wood, the knowledge behind each traditional hat can only be gained through the passing down of tradition. Another tradition that is being taught to these youth is mask carving. Each student that carves a mask must have a story that is represented by the mask. Then the time-consuming process of carving out the mask can begin. But these masks will represent more than just stories when they're finished. They'll represent songs as well.
Our traditional way is that when you carve a mask, you have to have your own story behind it. So I sat there and thought before I started covering my mask that I figured that I was a successful hunter, and since I was a little boy when I started off hunting and stuff. As I grew up, my dad and my older brothers taught me how to hunt and everything like that. I started going off with them. And then as I got older and stuff like that, they realized I was old enough to go off on my own and knew what I was doing, because all the experience I got from my dad and my brothers. So as years went on, I became a successful hunter, a fisherman. So that's what this mask resembles, a successful hunter and a fisherman. So, yep, it's going to be part of our dance group, so I'm going to make a song out of this mask in my own words.
The children put the words together. The elders got together and put the words together in agreement. We all had different ways to do it, and then we came to an agreement as to how the wording is. And so what we did was to bring the Siouxton language into song.
I already wrote it down in English, and I'm going to go to the elders and ask for help how to translate it in our Alutiiq language. I'll come up with a song about this mask, about being a successful hunter.
While some masks may represent the lessons of life, other masks hold stories of personal experiences and the value of life.
Happened in December, I think, and we were going to Alutiiq to get some fuel. Yeah, well, we were just coming back from Alutiiq, and weather changed, so me and my brother were going slow, and because it was pretty rough out there, and we just started going slow, and then we had a wave that was coming See, we're going up a wave, then we're coming down another wave. It was coming in, then we hit a wave, and the water started coming in, and we had our drums up in the front by the bow, because when we left, it was nice. We just flipped, and we were underneath the skiff for about, well, I was underneath the skiff for about a minute, and I swam on the other side to get on the bottom of the flipped skiff. Then we were drifting to the beach. We were on the bottom of the flipped skiff for about half hour, 45 minutes, trying to get to land. And when we got to land, we tried to start a fire, but my brother's lighter didn't want to start. Then we were sitting there trying to light it for about 10 minutes. Then I heard a skiff coming in and like waved them down over that we're over here. And I noticed that it was Roy and Spurt on coming to rescue us.
Well, this is a bird mask, an owl. You can see by the shape of the nose, mouth, the beak part. I started this a few years ago in another village, and I didn't have time to finish it. And now, even though I have a lot more stuff to finish, I'm trying to finish this what I can and have more masks for our dancers. And I'm still trying to think of a story. Right now, I'm just trying to focus on finishing it first before I do the story. So when I'm finished, I can look at it and try to figure out the story for it and go from there.
We've been working with Akhiok for the past 3 years in promoting traditional knowledge. As a museum, we have a lot of information that we're starting to bring back to Kodiak, and we want to share it with each of the villages. And over the last 3 years, we've been teaching carving. First year was small little wooden masks. The next year was hunting tools, and then this year I called the villages to see what they wanted, the students wanted, and they wanted to do full-size masks. As you heard from the young men, they are making their own songs and having the masks made to fit to that, to tell their story. And my role is teaching carving, but also ensuring that that information gets to them and they know it. We've had, over the last couple hundred years, all this information has disappeared. It only exists in museums in, well, basically on the other side of the world, in Europe.
I see a difference. They learned a lot more, and they're understanding our culture a lot more, because before we even started having Alutiiq Week, a lot of us didn't know anything about our culture and what it meant. You know, and with the sewing and stuff that went on, the kids really understood it, you know, and these masks now that they carved it with Sven, they didn't know, you know, they had to put a story with their mask, and they thought, you know, oh, let's just go carve a mask. But they had to think of a story of why the reason they're building that and carving that mask, and they had to have a story behind it. You know, and I myself still don't understand what you mean a story behind it, but after my daughter made that clock for Sven, you know, and I understand what they were really talking about. They do need a story behind each thing they're doing and the reason why they're doing it, not just to go have fun, you know. They've got to understand why they're doing it.
We're just getting the skin and softening out so we can make some purses for pouches or purses or whatever you call them. Out of biscuit, we're just smoothing them out right now.
What we're doing is processing salmon skins kind of in a rudimentary way to soften them and make them pliable so that they can be made into either small items, the little pouches, little carrying holder for tools, and just something that will help them understand how it was used in the process. Throughout these days, they've been oiling them, rubbing them, and then working them together. What I'm doing is we have oiled them, and what I'm doing now is manipulating and just keeping them and softening them and just changing kind of the fibers so that it will be soft.
The kids are using saddle soap to soften and prepare the skins to be made into pouches and purses. But years ago, the Alutiiq people used more traditional means from their surroundings to prepare their fish skins.
They had seal oil, urine, of course, fermented fish eggs. We're going to try to get some seal oil tomorrow. One of the parents has some seal oil, so we're going to try a little bit of that. And if we had bear fat, we would use that as well. Very raw. I know.
Alutiiq Week is a time to look back at the past. To look back at the past and carry it forward to the future. And one of those ways is with traditional song and dance, a timeless way that our native people share their culture through joy and movement.
First started here maybe about 5 years ago. There was only 5 kids that started. They were really wanting to dance, so some of the kids in the community and I kind of went ahead and started making regalia. We made about 10 one summer in a 2-month time period, and then the dance group kind of has grown to like the 27 that we have maybe now. It was very small when it first started, and I think this is the biggest it's ever been. And they're really enjoying their dancing.
The dance group here, the Kazukluq, or the Akhiok dancers, they have more spirit than I've seen in any other Alutiiq dancers. It's the biggest dance group I've ever seen for our people. And just as many as there are, I think they said, what, 27? And they all have the desire to do it, to want to do it, to want to learn more. And what they're doing differently that I've seen anyone else is they're making their own songs. Yeah, they are just amazing. I just was stunned when I was watching them. I was just like, wow. Okay, now you guys are going to have to remember that. Just sit down. Okay, who else is unclear about this? Okay, since no one else raised their hands, I'm assuming everybody knows it. These 4 were the ones that, well, you know, were honest. So we're going to do it from the top, everybody. And I want to hear everybody sing.
Kenneth Michener traveled to Akhiok from Kodiak, where he teaches Alutiiq dancing. Kenneth has dedicated himself to teaching the songs and dances of his people to the youth, carrying on a tradition and a culture that was almost lost forever.
Well, I pretty much do it the way I learned it. It's repetitive, so I'll sing it, and then it'll be like I'll sing it, you sing it. I'll say a word, you say a word, and I'll have like towards the middle, I'll have Q&A. And if they really don't understand, then I will try the best I can to write it out, and then after it's all written out or whatever, I will let them perform the song or sing the song. And then after they get the words down, that's when the movements come in. And once you got the movements down, then you get the beat going. And so it's actually a combination of a lot of things, because with everything with songs, movements, dances, they have their own unique way to do things.
The 2 is on this side, right? Okay. We're actually putting our face paint on, which represents like this represents like our warriors and hunters and what we are and who we are. makes me feel pretty good. I'm actually happy for like dancing and keeping my heritage alive, my culture.
What we did was this last song that we just made, or the elementary made, they did it in English, and since there was going to be a lot of elders here, they translated it into Alutiiq for us, and they kind of came up with the moves for us.
I never thought they'd bring it back, but somehow someone thought about it and studied it and read about the dresses they wore for dancing, and it was just beautiful and wonderful, and how fast they learn, and it's just really interesting.
Two-pointer. And speaking of interesting, this Alutiiq game has quite the interesting history behind it.
Ukcha, or spears. From my vague recollection of this game, what I was told was this was a gambling game. And they would gamble pretty much anything they had, from slaves, wives, kayaks, houses. Depends on skill, I guess. I don't know.
Okay, here the other team just hit the whale. He hit right on the top on this side of the line as 2 points. He almost got the blowhole, which is 5 points right there. So just right outside the blowhole, so we'll count that as 2 points. It's right here. This half of the whale is 2 points. The dead center of it is 3, and from here on back to the tail is 1 point. If you hit the string here, that's 8 points. If he hit the string and stuck in the whale, he would have won the game. But now see if one opponent's dart is on the whale and the other opponent sticks the dart while it's in the whale, they automatically win the game.
Oh.
Yes.
One. Whether it be games, crafts, or song and dance, it has taken the determination of the entire community of Akhiok to keep the Alutiiq culture alive and well. From the integrity of the youth to the knowledge of the elders, maintaining their culture and ensuring that it moves forward in the future has truly been a community effort. Thank you everyone for joining us, and thank you everyone in Akhiok, Alaska, David Eluska, and the council members that brought this program to you. Sharing hearts, that's what our native people have. And this is Heartbeat Alaska, sharing news every week with you and for you. God bless you. I'm Jeannie Green. We'll see you next week.
To purchase a copy of this program, have your credit card ready and call area code 907-563-7440.